Right now on ABC 10 News at 4 o'clock, local teachers volunteered to educate the migrant girls at the convention center. Why some parents are not happy about that. Plus the emotional witness testimony given during day 2 of the Derek Chauvin murder trial. And the professor who took his classroom on the road, his most recent stop in America's finest city.
ABC 10 News starts now with breaking news.
In the last 20 minutes, the U.S. Attorney's Office announced they arrested the driver in the deadly crash that killed 13 Mexican and Guatemalan nationals in Imperial County. 47-year-old Jose Cruz Noguez of Mexicali, Mexico, now faces several smuggling and various other charges. He was driving a Ford SUV carrying 25 people that collided with a big rig on State Route 115 at Norrish Road near El Centro. 13 of them died. Investigators say Noguez's SUV and another vehicle came through a hole in the border fence. Well, the other car caught fire and Noguez kept going before crashing into a tractor trailer. If convicted, he faces decades in jail. His next court appearance is April 5th.
And our students have been denied. Our leadership has failed our students.
More than a dozen teachers have volunteered to teach the hundreds of girls seeking asylum at the San Diego Convention Center. ABC 10 News reporter Mimi Alcala explains the process and why some local parents are frustrated about this.
Hundreds of migrant girls staying at the San Diego Convention Center will be offered an educational program through July. SBCS, formerly South Bay Community Services, was asked by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services to take the lead in providing different programs and services for the teenage girls. They've partnered with many organizations and agencies, including the San Diego County Office of Education, which will provide the girls with English language development as well as social emotional learning opportunities. But the move was met with some backlash, the issue even making it up to the White House after Supervisor Jim Desmond tweeted, "It's great there's in-person learning for them. I wish every child in San Diego County was allowed the same opportunity."
Does the White House think that this sends the right message to these 130,000 kids in San Diego and their parents who've been stuck at home for the last year?
Well, I'm just saying that context is important, and these kids are going back to school for hybrid learning. We, of course, want that to be 5 days a week, and we're confident we'll get there early next month.
We've heard from parents who are frustrated that their children are still learning from home, like Leslie Hoffmeister, who has kids in the San Diego Unified School District.
All students should have access to an equitable opportunity to get in-person education. Our students have been denied. Our leadership has failed our students. And to see this sense of urgency show up all of a sudden is like a slap in my face.
The Office of Education says it does not have any authority over reopening school districts or campuses. The 42 local districts and more than 300 charter and private schools are in charge of creating their own reopening plans. Mimi Alcala, ABC 10 News.
Right now, a total of 82 migrant girls at the convention center tested positive for COVID-19. This is according to the Health and Human Services Department. 59 were known to be positive before ever arriving in San Diego. The girls are split into 3 cohorts in pods of 50, one for negative cases, one for exposed cases, and one for positive cases. No cases have required hospitalization and no staff members have yet tested positive. Now to the murder trial of former Minneapolis police officer Derek Chauvin. A number of witnesses gave testimonies today. Many of them were minors at the time of George Floyd's death. Court television legal correspondent Shanley Painter with some of the emotional testimony.
Powerful testimony from 4 bystanders today in the murder trial of Derek Chauvin. This morning, Judge Peter Cahill denied a prosecutor's motion over broadcasting of the juvenile witnesses during the trial, but the judge ultimately ruled that no video would be allowed for all 4 witnesses who were minors at the time of the incident, plus no audio when the underage witnesses would say and spell their names. Judge Cahill allowed audio, though, of their testimony throughout the day.
It's been nights. I stayed up apologizing and apologizing to George Floyd for not doing more and not physically interacting and not saving his life. But it's like, It's not what I should have done. It's what he should have done.
That was the first of 3 underage witnesses. Darnella, she was one of 2 teens to record Derek Chauvin on the day George Floyd died. We also expect to hear from other bystanders who were at the scene, including the off-duty firefighter Genevieve Hansen, who's expected to tell this jury that when she tried to approach to intervene Derek Chauvin, the defendant actually grabbed his mace and tried to pepper spray her. That's the latest from here in downtown Minneapolis. I'm Chandler Painter with Court TV.
Now to the coronavirus. Orange County and Los Angeles County qualified to enter the less restrictive orange tier this week. That means more businesses can reopen and higher capacity restrictions for restaurants, churches, and gyms. And it will likely have a big impact on Disneyland and Angel Stadium. We told you last week the earliest that San Diego could qualify for that tier would be April 7th. That is assuming we meet the vaccination threshold set by the state and that our case rate stays below 6 per 100,000. A new vaccination site opened today in Mountain View. It's starting with 500 appointments a day, specifically serving San Diego Center City area. ABC 10 News anchor Mary McKenzie was there as the doors opened this morning.
This new site is at the Educational Cultural Complex in Mountain View, and it's part of Project Save, for now exclusively for the central San Diego area. There are a few people here who've shown up to get the first doses given out this morning.
I was getting really frustrated with the whole system.
Do I have your verbal consent to give you the injection?
Yes.
Okay.
This site will now be open Tuesdays through Saturdays, 9:30 to 3:30, starting with 500 appointments each day, ramping up, they hope, to 1,000 based on supply. A supply supervisor, Nora Vargas, said today the county expects will be increasing to help meet demand and expanding eligibility. The site in Mountain View made possible through a partnership between the county and the San Diego Community College District. As part of Project Save, they're holding back 10% of daily appointments for healthcare workers doing grassroots community outreach to get appointments for those who are having trouble scheduling. This site open only to those in 3 zip codes in the central San Diego area to ensure communities disproportionately affected by COVID aren't at risk of being left behind, in Council Member Sean Ilo Rivera's words.
A person's zip code should not determine their access to health care. Unfortunately, we are seeing vast disparities in vaccination rates within communities of concern. Intentional efforts will be essential to eliminating those disparities.
After this week, this site becomes a walk-up, no appointments needed. In Mountain View, Mary McKenzie, ABC 10 News.
Pfizer and its German partner plan to deliver even more COVID vaccines than originally thought. It's partly because a new plant opened in Germany to expand manufacturing. But they also got approval to withdraw 6 doses from each vial instead of 5. And together they hope to make about 2.5 billion doses of their vaccine by the end of the year. The city of San Diego reopened part of Golden Hall to the homeless today as a shelter. The upper level is designed for families, children, and young homeless people. The lower level is just for homeless men. Officials closed off the upper level last year to follow pandemic safety guidelines. In all, there are 526 beds, including cribs for infants. Operators say the key is connecting these families to services. The man accused of killing a 17-year-old boy in Chula Vista pleaded not guilty today. Police say 22-year-old Deontay Martinez shot the teenager at Sunset View Park earlier this month. A 16-year-old boy was also arrested for allegedly shooting the victim. 18-year-old Larry Bradford was arrested on suspicion of accessory to murder. Martinez has a bail review hearing April 6th. Investigators believe the victim and the suspects knew each other and got into an argument.